Hey friends, welcome back to Llama Mama Kayla's Yarn Tube. I'm Kayla. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I hope you're all having a great day, and I hope your day just gets better and better as it goes on. So today is Crochet WIP Wednesday. So tell me what you're working on in the comments. What's your WIP of the day? I said yesterday, towards the end of my Sophia's Universe blanket video, I was saying some projects that I was working on. I totally forgot about my Llama wrap. As soon as I turned the video off, I was like, oh, I didn't say my wrap because I was trying to think of projects I have going on. And I knew there was something else, but I just could not pull it to my mind. But I am still working on that. I'll probably have a video on that tomorrow, actually. But I said that, I was itching to start granny squares and I needed to start an amigurumi because I hadn't done an amigurumi project in a little while since that narwhal one that I did earlier this month. And so I wanted to start one. So did I need to start another WIP? No. Did I start another WIP anyway? Yes. Because that's the story of my life. And I wanted to use this yarn. I'm losing my words. I'm sorry. This is Premier Sweet Roll Fruits. It's 174 yards. It is a number 4 weight yarn. And so this colorway is called Lime. And it's yellow, greens, and whites. And it has a little speckled section in there too that probably does show up better if you're a knitter, but it shows up fine enough as crochet. So I was wanting to use this yarn, and when I first got this yarn, I thought I wanted to make a reptile with this yarn because I just think that would be the perfect color for reptiles. And so I knew there was a reptile that I wanted to make in my Crochet Cute Critters book by Sarah Zimmerman. This book is on Amazon. It is Crochet Cute Critters. It is less than $10. I think it's about like $7 something, $8 roughly. There is 26 patterns in here, and it does say 26 easy patterns, and they are easy. If you are new to amigurumi, I do recommend this book. The patterns are easy to follow. It's very beginner friendly is what I'm trying to say. I've made lots of animals out of this book, and I'm continuing to make animals out of this book because I want to make them all. So I knew this book had an iguana in this book, and so I wanted to make that iguana out of the lime sweet rolls. I just thought that would be the perfect color for an iguana. So I started it, and this is called Iggy the iguana. He's supposed to be about 5 inches tall and about 19 inches long. So that's good. I plan to give this to my son Elijah if he wants it. I didn't tell him I was going to make it or anything. I'm just going to make it. And then when he sees it, if he shows interest in it, I'll say, well, you can have it. So this is what I have going so far. I am on row 17. I'm now decreasing. I did the rows 8 through 15, which was just single crochets, and now I'm at a decrease. So this is the body, and it's going to taper off into the tail, and then you'll make the head and put on this. So, but I do want to show you how that little how this little part right here, how that white with the green specks, how it did come out in crochet. So about the same. It looks good. It's single crochet, of course. So that's where I'm at so far. So I like this stripe. I like the way it's striping up. It's not too wide. You know what I'm saying? Now when I get down to the tail and it's less stitches, the stripes might be a little wider, but that's okay. It's fine. And there's also right there where the green and white worked up also in single crochet. But one thing I will tell you about this book, and if you're new to amigurumis, this will be, fine for you, and it would be fine for me, except I don't remember to do this. This, the patterns in this book, they do have you at the end of each round, instead of joining, well, you do. You join into the first single crochet of that round, and then you chain one and start the next round. Well, I'm not chaining one because I'm not in the habit of doing that. Matter of fact, when I first started working in this book, way back when, I didn't even notice that chain one. Now, I used to do all my projects like that. And then I started doing amigurumi projects that did not call for the chain one. It was just a continuous single crochet in the next stitch, which was the new round. And so I've gotten out of the habit of doing that. And so when I first started doing this book, I didn't even notice that chain one. It wasn't until later in the project, or maybe on the next project, that I realized, oh, you're supposed to chain one when you start the new round. But I don't do that. I put a stitch marker in my last stitch of the round. Some people do it in their first, some people do it in their last. So whatever your preference is, there's no right or wrong way, but that's the way I do mine. And you just have to, get whatever you're comfortable with once you start crocheting and such. But anyway, so I don't chain one. Like, I finish this round, I won't chain one. I'll just start crocheting in the next stitch. But these little critters in this book, it's all animals, they are really easy to make. And so, yeah, I've been enjoying working on that. And I'm glad to be working on an amigurumi piece, because I love making amigurumis. Like right now, this looks like nothing, but eventually it's going to start coming to life, and I get to watch its little personality shape up there. So I am excited about that. I love making amigurumis. So yesterday, just as I finished my Sophia's Universe blanket video, my son Elijah drove up, and he came in, and so my project was laying there in the book and everything. And so I showed him. He said, what are you working on? And I showed him what I was working on. And then I told him that I told him the video that he and his brother Dakota are supposed to fight to one of them's death over that blanket when I'm dead and gone. And he just laughed like, that'll never happen. But then he said, well, why don't you make me my own blanket? And I said, well, I will. Tell me what you want. What do you want it to look like, and what colors do you want? Now, I've made blankets and stuff for each of my boys. I've made them hats, scarves, blankets, amigurumis, and different things, like that. So they do have stuff that I've made. But I have been thinking lately, and I don't mean this to be a downer or morbid or anything like that, but I do want them to have stuff that I made when I'm gone. And, like I say, I'm not being morbid or sad. The truth is, we're all going to go one day. Whether we like it or not, we're all going to go one day. My body just seems to think it's a race and it's fighting to get there. But I really didn't mean that. But anyway, so he has said he was going to look on Pinterest and on Instagram and stuff, and find a blanket that he likes, and then tell me what colors that he would like it in. And so I'll be excited to start him a new blanket. I am going to get back started on my son's Yoda blanket. My other son, Dakota, I started him a Yoda blanket way back when, just before I had my surgery for my feeding tube 2 years ago. And then that project got put away. I was in the hospital a long time, ended up nursing home, had lots and lots of issues. So that project got put away, and then when I pulled it back out, my Michaels never did have the yarn that I needed when I went in there. But recently, I went in Michaels, and all of a sudden they had 4 skeins of the yarn that I need. So I got all 4 skeins of it. So I am going to get back started on that project and hopefully finish it eventually. So I do have WIPs that I need to tend to, but I mean, who doesn't like to start a new WIP, right? So I went ahead and started this iguana. Oh, my son Elijah did have an iguana at one point. One time when the boys were little, I don't remember who gave them money for Christmas one year. I don't remember if it was their mama, my mother-in-law. She might have gave them the money one year. Somebody gave them. I believe it was her. I believe that year she decided to give all the grandkids cash. Yeah. So Dakota knew exactly what he wanted. He wanted to buy a new hamster and some accessories and stuff. He had hamster cages and stuff, but he needed a new hamster. And he wanted a special kind or something. So anyway, we went around to we have at the time we had like 3 or 4 different pet stores in the area. We went around and he looked at the different pet stores. Okay, my next row I have to count, so I better not crochet. We went around to the different pet stores and he picked out a hamster that he wanted. So Elijah had his money and I was telling him to pick what he wanted, you know. Well, of course, he wanted a snake. And I was like, no, we do not need to get a snake. He was quite young. I was, trying my best to talk him out of the snake. And so we left the pet store and he didn't get anything. Well, when his daddy found out, he was like, we'll take him to a different pet store. I said, we went to all of them. And he said, well, there's one in Rayville, which is another town over, actually the town he works in. So at the time they had a pet store, but I don't believe it's there anymore. So we drove over to that pet store and they had a little bitty lizard called an iguana. It was so tiny. So we inquired about it and the lady's telling us all about it. And you got to keep a temperature, the humidity and the moisture and all that kind of stuff. And, so I was like, okay, he can get that. It's not going to live in our house. It ain't going to live very long because our house is always on the cold side, especially in the wintertime. And then even in the summertime with the AC in that part of the house, because it was going to have to go in the playroom. And there's a big AC in the playroom that cools the bedrooms and the playroom at the time. We don't no longer have a playroom. It is now the den for Big Daddy. But anyway, so I said, okay, he can get the iguana. And we got a little tank for it, like a little 10-gallon tank, because it was a tiny little bitty iguana lizard. Well, guess what? That thing lived. It lived through the winter. It was living up in the summer, and it was like getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, okay, we got to get him a bigger tank. He's outgrowing that tank. So we got another tank, and he just kept growing and kept growing. And then we bought the biggest tank that our local pet store had, which was a very large tank. And we bought a big stand for it and everything. So in the playroom, there was this big old stand and this big old tank with this lizard in it named Iggy. Now, Iggy grew up walking on a leash. He was feisty, but we could handle him and stuff like that, Like I said, he walked on a leash. Elijah would take him out and walk him on a leash all the time. So he just kept growing and growing until he was outgrowing that tank. And then I talked to someone who knew about reptiles and stuff, and they said, "Oh, he needs his own room." I was like, "What? How do I get a bigger tank for him now?" And he said he needs his own room. Well, I didn't have another bedroom to give a lizard. And so, and then I was thinking, ooh, then you'd have to go in that room and clean up its poo and, like, So he outgrew the tank he was in. And I tried to find someone to take him. No one would take him. The zoo would not. Any rescue places or anything like that could not. I couldn't find anyone to take him. So people were saying, just let him outside. Just put him outside. So that's what we did. We ended up just putting him outside, and of course, he's went up in the trees and lived his life. So um, that was the story of Iggy. So I'm thinking Elijah will like this Iggy because it will remind him of Iggy that he used to have. And I don't know why I don't know how Elijah come about naming that iguana Iggy. I'm trying to think how he got that name Iggy, but Elijah named him Iggy. So it's kind of funny that this name is Iggy and that iguana's name was Iggy. So anyway, so that is my WIP for the day. I'll show you one more time what it's going to look like, and I hope that Elijah will like him and want him. But anyway, guys, like I said, I hope y'all are having a great day. I've had a pretty lazy day, just kind of laid back, just resting, watching some shows, holding Phoebe a lot because her tummy aches, I guess. It's making a lot of noises, so I don't think she feels the best. And so I've just been holding her and laid back in my computer chair there watching some movies. So we're just having a laid back day. It's almost time for Big Daddy to come home, and I hear Phoebe barking now. So I don't know if someone's driving up or if my little friend Zeke is coming down or what. But anyway, guys, I'll let y'all get going, and I will see y'all later. Remember, it is a beautiful day to crochet. Bye, friends.